Hey everybody, I'm Jeffrey with Playbill, and one of the most anticipated plays of the season is, of course, John Proctor Is the Villain. And today I have with me the playwright who is making her Broadway debut this season, Kimberly Belflower. And then, of course, she is back on Broadway this season, Sadie Sink. Thank you, ladies, for both being here today.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Everyone at the office of Playbill knows that I'm constantly, by accident, calling it John Proctor Must Die, because I grew up with the show or the movie, John Tucker Must Die. So, but I feel like the sentiment is maybe like very close there either way. But let's start off with this. Kimberly, I'm so interested to hear about the origins of this, and then I've been hearing a lot, and I'm interested to hear your take, but that you hate the Crucible, which I don't think is true, but I wanted to hear it from you. Tell me more.
I don't hate the Crucible. I think it would be pretty miserable to spend, like, at this point, almost 7 years of my life making a play about something I hated.
Totally.
But yeah, no, this play came about in a lot of different ways. I read this amazing nonfiction book called The Witches by Stacy Schiff. She's this feminist historian. She's amazing. And it really recontextualized what I felt like I understood about the Salem witch trials and went into like the context surrounding a lot of the girls' lives. And then that fall, after I read the book, is when the Harvey Weinstein allegations broke.
Sure.
And the tidal wave of Me Too hit. And I was back on my family's farm in the rural South, and found myself thinking back a lot about things that happened to me, things that happened to my friends in my adolescence, and thinking about what it would be like to come of age in the moment when it felt like all of the rules and how we talk about power and gender and were changing. And then Woody Allen called Me to a witch hunt in an interview, and I reread The Crucible with that in mind, and rereading The Crucible with the lens of Me Too, very affixed on my eyes, really changed the way I thought I understood it. And I don't hate The Crucible.
No, of course not. Of course not. And then, Sadie, tell me, like, the world has come to know you and love you from Stranger Things, but I mean, you did shows on Broadway before any of that. So what was it for you personally, the want to get back to performing on a stage again?
Yeah, it was always on my mind, anticipating the end of Stranger Things. And yeah, I thought it'd be cool to just have kind of like perfect bookends of like, I don't know, before I started Stranger Things, I was on Broadway, and then to finish it and go back to it was a dream of mine. But it was all about just finding the right project. And then I read Kimberly's play 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And I just I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't know if it was going to be on Broadway or anything, but we wanted to do a workshop of it and see where it could go. And then it brought us here. Yeah.
When you first heard, Kimberly, that Sadie was interested in being a part of the production and help bring it to Broadway, what was that reaction like for you? Because as we know, Sadie is like one of the biggest young stars right now. What was that like for you to hear that news?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like, what do you mean? I've been such a massive fan of Sadie's work, as I think everyone is who sees it. And it just felt, and I didn't even know then that you were from Texas or anything. And obviously Texas is different from Georgia, but I was just like, there was just like a sensibility about hers that I felt like, oh, that would be a really good fit for the things I write about and the way I write. And and then I was like, well, she's so in demand, like it's never gonna work out.
Yeah.
And then we did this workshop, and it really felt like there was some magic in the air. It was just like a 3-day thing, and I was just like, oh man, if this works out, it could be really great, because she's amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, what I've loved also, the relationship that you two have as well with Donnie, your director, that at one point you guys all together toured theaters together when they decided on Broadway. Tell me about what that relationship was like even early on with this production.
Well, I wasn't at that tour because I got COVID and was stuck at artist housing in Boston where I was working. I know. But they were FaceTiming me in, and I was alternating between crying and pinching myself. So you can talk about that tour. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that was just like a part of the process that like I just felt so lucky to be a fly on the wall for. Like touring Broadway theaters. It's like every theater nerd's dream. But yeah, we looked at a couple, and the booth was always our favorite. Like it was so perfect, that like corner marquee and just everything about it. It's so intimate. But I think we thought it was going to be a long shot that it would be available by the time we were ready to start production. and it all just kind of worked out. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
Now tell me, what was that conversation like the first time you met and you discussed the play? What was that conversation like between the two of you discussing the show?
It was on Zoom. Yeah. And I mean, like what you just said of like everything kind of working out is like exactly true, because we had a conversation on Zoom just kind of talking about the play. Didn't really get into like a lot of logistics. Sadie and her team had Danya in mind, and Danya and I had actually talked about the play back in 2019.
Wow.
I've known Danya since I was in grad school. We have a lot of friends in common. We've been at a lot of the same weddings, and it was kind of a heartbreak for both me and Danya that like it didn't work out originally. And so then when like Sadie's team brought her up and our producers brought her up, and I was like, oh my God. And so then the first time the three of us talked about the play too, it just felt like such an organic right fit. And I think we from the beginning have all really been on the same page about what the play is, which isn't always true. You know, sometimes you're like, oh no, actually that's interesting, but I think over here, but it's like, no, it's always felt very, very aligned in what we want to do and what we think is special about kind of collaboration and theater and everything. Yeah.
Sadie, tell me about this character that you're playing in the show. What was it when you read her on the page, you're like, oh, I want to bring this character to the stage?
Yeah, to me, Shelby was the obvious choice. I just really gravitated towards her. But the thing about this play is it's an ensemble piece, and every character is so well developed, and you feel like you know them, and they're all just very well rounded. But Shelby, I think I was like, okay, that seems to be my track, I guess. Just because I think she has a maturity about her, and I don't know, I loved the way her brain worked and how, she carries the trauma that's happened to her. I think there's just some complexities there that lured me in, and I've just had, a really amazing time discovering more and more about her every day, especially through the preview process. It's been so helpful.
Yeah, and what I love about the journey of this play is that it has been done across so many colleges, I think maybe even some high schools across the country, hundreds of performances. What has that been like for you to see it perform there and then now see its journey now onto the biggest stage in America?
It's unreal. I started writing this play before I had an agent, and it was commissioned by this college program where multiple colleges and universities co-commission an early career playwright. I had worked primarily in the educational theater space prior to that as well, and was very much like, this is what this play will do, and that's great, and I love college students. I teach college students. And then for it then to kind of, and then, it was originally supposed to premiere in the 2020 season, and we know what happened to that season. And so it's been like this very winding, circuitous path. And I never thought this was in the cards for it. And just to see not only it happen, but the audiences really show up and be incredibly vocally supportive. And I wrote this play very much about like where I'm from, and a lot of it in writing it was like, this will only be funny to me. And, and so it blows my mind. I kind of like can't comprehend it.
Yeah. Now for both of you, tell me, what has the preview process been like? What has been like developing it, the work, the changes?
I do not remember previews from when I was younger.
Yeah.
And the memories that I do have were very different than this. But that's kind of the reason I wanted to do this in the first place.
Yeah.
Is just like having that challenge of being an adult on Broadway. And previews are hard. They're really tough. It's a really demanding schedule. It's also like so embarrassing at times too. Well, in a good way though. But like thinking back to like our first preview, I'm like, people saw that? Like, even though it was amazing, just in my own head, I'm like, oh, I feel like I've grown so much, and like selfishly just like in my own performance, but then also thinking about the play as a whole too. We've really found our rhythm over the past couple of weeks, but doing that in front of an audience is the only way you're able to find that. So it's been super educational.
I love that. One thing that I know from what I've seen online is that this story and this play has seemed to really connect with a lot of Gen Z audience members and even older Gen Alphas as well. And what is it, do you think, about the story and its message that connects to that audience in particular?
Oh, I mean, I always feel like the worst talking about this because I'm not I'm a millennial, and so I'm like, this is why my work. But no, I mean, like, I think several things. I think first of all, like, even though a lot has changed and a lot about Gen Z, Gen Alpha are very different than my own teenage years, I think like the fundamental coming of age experience, like there's a core like emotional truth to it that is always true, and that's why these types of stories resonate again and again. I think also that this play is about how cycles of power perpetuate themselves over time and how patriarchy is so ingrained in our culture, and so that is also true of every generation. But also, like, I mean, yeah, I going back to like the origin of the play, like I specifically wrote it kind of being like, what would it be like to come of age in this moment that I, like, at the time as a 30-year-old was like, I feel like I don't recognize my own life right now. And so like, what would it be like to be 16 and kind of figuring out who I want to become while I watch the world like rewrite its rules. And then, you know, like I started writing the play in the first Trump administration, and now we're back. So so I think that Gen Z and Gen Alpha have seen a lot of maybe hope and potential, and then revert, and like kind of progress and then regression. And so I think that like that is fundamental to what the play is exploring, and that has been so much of what those generations have grown up witnessing, which is awful, and we should do better.
Sadie, anything to add on that?
Well, I don't want to.
Gen Z.
Yeah. I guess, like, I mean, Kimberly just has she captures my generation and our voices in such an authentic light, which is very rare to come across in film, TV, plays, what have you these days. So that was something that struck me immediately when I read it. But then also, just like echoing your thoughts on that feeling of hope and how that was all that we had then, and we still have to hang on to it now. And I think the play ends on a hopeful note, but it's not necessarily like a happy note. But I guess just the power within that, and how these girls are able to take that hope that they have and change the world around them, even if it's just for a second, even if it's just in their heads. But
Now, what I'm really interested to know is that I've seen the photos of what your stage door looks like every night, the crowds, and it's, I mean, what has that been like for you? I mean, I'm sure you're no stranger to fandom and that stuff like that, but it seems like a lot of kids have been trying to reach out and tell you about how the show has connected with them. Are there any memorable things that have happened so far?
I mean, like, to be completely honest, I was really nervous that I didn't know how many people were going to show up. Like, genuinely, I was like, are people going to, like, I don't know. I really don't know. But that first preview, I think, was so special because they did show up, and it was raining, and they were still out there. And just to see so many young people come to the theater every single night, that's been really special, because it's obviously resonating with them a lot. I think it's also special fans of the show, or like past work of mine, who maybe just kind of came in blind to see this, be so moved by it and become fans of the show through it. But that's been like such a nice cherry on top of everything, just to kind of see that those reactions afterwards.
Totally. I know I always like to ask this question, especially at interviews like this, is that what I love when someone like you comes and does Broadway, or someone like you who has created something that connects to a lot of younger audience members, is that when you do that and it comes to Broadway, it sometimes then becomes their first Broadway play, their first play or theater in general. What is that? Because what I usually say is that it starts a spark for some kids, and it ignites something, and it could be being an actor, it could be being a playwright, it could be just wanting to be a part of this industry that we love so much. What is it like to know that this play could be that spark for so many young people?
I mean, I really felt that at the student matinee that we had. We had, I think, 750 high school students come and see the show, and we were not sure how that was going to go. We were really scared. We're like, are they going to like it? What are the reactions going to be? And for a lot of them, it was their first Broadway show. So to have them be that engaged and just with us, and seeing like this depiction of high school play out in front of them, and be so locked in and reactive, that was amazing. And the stage door after that was also pretty insane.
Yeah. I mean, I did not go to the stage door after that, but I was in the building and could hear it deep within the building. It was insane. And no, just echoing what Sadie said, like that student matinee like I don't know how to explain what I felt in my body during it. It was to not know how they were going to react. And obviously, like, some of the reactions were like big ones and crazy ones, but then I was really most struck by the things that a lot of adult audiences laugh at. And the students were just so with it and quiet, and it was like, oh, this is real. They don't have the distance to laugh at it yet. And that just, and I mean, you know, I went to public school. I grew up in rural Georgia. Like, the theater that I saw, like, as a student, that I did as a student is what sparked that for me. So I've said several times now, like, I can hardly think about it without wanting to cry. So it's tremendously moving and exciting for me. Yeah.
Very last question I have for the two of you, or for maybe Sadie, maybe you have a better idea, but I haven't seen the show yet. I'm seeing it on Thursday. I'm very excited, but I've told that there's a big dance thing at the end of this. Let me ask you this question. What is harder, that dance scene at the end or going up against Vecna on Stranger Things? What's harder for you?
The dance. The dance. The dance is so fun, though. I have so much fun every night. But yeah, you only have to defeat Vecna once.
Truth. I love that. Ladies, thank you so much. Everyone watching, now playing at the Booth Theater, get on down there too. And the proper name is John Proctor Is the Villain. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.